Are we ready?
Well, I at least wanted to start the stream at the time we said we would start the stream.
If someone has a heart out of 115, we should probably get started.
Yep. Gary?
Yeah, we can begin.
Okay. Are you having trouble with your camera?
Nope.
There we are. And we are live. All right. Let's start the show then.
Yep.
Happy Sunday, Drew. No, that's not right. I'm seeing August 28th. What day is today?
The 20th.
It's August 20th, 2017. Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
Everybody dance now!
I'm Chester.
This room is a pigsty, and you're a dirty pig boy.
And that makes me Gary.
Don't hurt nobody with your bad self.
And welcome to Comes Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 428. There's the 28. It's mysterious today. Just saying.
It's a mystery.
So let's find out this. So most people don't see this when they see the recording of the show. So if you check out the YouTube videos, you see I wear these nice fancy headphones. But underneath my right ear, usually there is an earring. And as you notice, there isn't right now.
What?
Yeah. And the reason is because I've got these really nice wireless headphones that cost just $15, but because they don't fit fully over the ear like these headphones do, they cause problems with my earring. And it hurts because it's a little hoop. So it kind of turns and kind of digs into my ear and causes me pain. I have not taken that earring out in years.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally took it out, and my ear feels so much better from wearing those headphones and everything. So, and then I was thinking, because this earring's so old, this was an earring I had since the early 2000s, maybe late 1999. A lot of the color to it, I think it was red, is gone and everything. It still looks fine and everything,
But
and I'm like, I wouldn't mind getting another earring. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a small hoop-like earring like this, but it had the bear flag colors on it. No, not that I could find anywhere. So if anybody knows of a place that has it's a little hoop earring, maybe just some sort of little beads or hoops of or somehow a bear flag colored, or someone can make one, that would be a great birthday present for me later this month. or Christmas present later this year. Just saying. So sometimes when I'm not using my headphones for various things, I'll probably put the earring back in though, because I'd like having my earring. I just want an earring.
Yeah.
But the headphones were causing problems. These headphones using that earring is fine because they go completely over the ear and they don't like push on the earring. So if I'm wearing these headphones, I can wear the earring. So cool. for after like 17 plus years, I do not have an earring in.
Oh, these are nasty. Anyways. Sorry.
Damien?
Sorry, I just went and like typed in Bear Pride earring, and I got some of the ugliest things I've ever seen. Anywho, so this weekend was Mr. Cincinnati Leather. It's been revamped and I forget the word. Anyway, so it was a much bigger deal than it was. It used to be just like a bar title, bar contest kind of thing. It wasn't really a major thing, but this time it was it was pretty much like it was like a real contest. You had like the contestants had barware and interview and jockware and had to give speeches, and it was a lot of fun. It was Friday night and then Saturday evening, and they had kink U classes here during the day on Saturday, and it was a good time. I didn't get to go to the classes, but I did go to the contest both Friday and Saturday nights. It was held at the Dock, which is, I now found out, one of the oldest bars in the city that is still standing. It is barely standing. There are several issues. The plumbing had literally crapped out. The toilets stopped working. So they improvised and put porta potty. In order to stay open, they had to have restrooms of some kind. So they had porta potties in the back. For Friday night, they actually closed the whole front bar because that's where the restrooms are. So everyone kind of had to go into the back area, which was fine. That's where the stage is. That's where everything else was. And then last night, the bathrooms were still down, but they kept the porta potties open, but they kept the other bar open and let people go through. They just put like big couches right in front of the restrooms so that no one would go into the doors. Contest went really well. Congratulations to Ramon, aka Pork Chop, for being the new Mr. Cincinnati Leather.
Hey, Pork Chop.
Exactly. And he, I think he would be a good representation of the city and leather in Cincinnati. So, yay. Tester?
This weekend I went to a food truck festival with JR and his boyfriend Eric from Erie. Husband. They were in Columbus for whatever they were in Columbus for. And said that they were going there, and I asked if I could join them, and they said, sure, come along. And it was a good time. It's the first time I've ever hung out with them in a more than passing, hi, how you doing type of sense.
Uh-huh.
We were joined by a couple of other guys from Columbus. Most of the food that we all tried was really good. And all of us had the same complaint that with it being a festival, and there were, however many vendors that were there, I want to say upwards of 100. It would have been nice to be able to sample more things, and instead you were buying full meals or dishes at full price. And it's like, I'm only going to be coming here once. I want to try several different things, so a smaller bite or two of whatever you're serving would have been more conducive.
I think what could have worked is having people outside giving away like little samples of things, like here's our tortilla or something, and have a little bite, and then if you really like it, then you can go to the booth and get the full thing, or
Well, if that was the case, I just wouldn't buy anything. I would just walk around and eat all the samples.
I think that probably the better idea would have been just the idea is people come with a group of people and you like get one and they're like shared amongst people.
Yeah, it's always going to be a catch-22. We used to have, we still have, oh gosh, I forget what it's called now, but it's here in Cincinnati and it's every Memorial Day weekend. And it used to be here's samples or here's smaller things, and now it's become here's full-on things, enjoy your meal kind of thing. And it was, buying tickets and doing all that stuff and getting smaller things, but now it's become much larger. And I've not gone, and the main reason I haven't gone is because of the fact that, one, it's so many people, and two, it isn't what it says it is. I feel like Chester did with that. It should be a smaller bites and festival kind of thing to kind of get you interested and get you engaged.
Yeah, or maybe even at the festival have smaller portions of the same thing.
Yeah. So Walt Disney World at Epcot does something every year called the Food and Wine Festival, and all of the international pavilions have one or two kiosks where you can go in and sample some of their food. We're talking 1 to 2 bite dishes, and they're only the most expensive thing I saw was $8 and the cheapest was $4. I'm okay with paying $4 for a bite or two of food and then doing that 10 times, because then I get to sample lots of different things, and it makes it more enjoyable.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I did this weekend.
So off to
Gary.
Badass looking Gary.
So I went to a bear foam party last night. Yeah, foam.
Okay, so
like soap suds.
Okay.
It's a thing at campgrounds, gay campgrounds specifically, or some bear runs. So yeah, there's a campground. Oh jeez Louise. I don't know how long it's been around. I was talking to one of the guys last night. He's been going to that campground for 22 years. It changed hands and ownership. This is their second season under new ownership, and they provided gift certificates to the run that I coordinate earlier this year. And so I had talked to the owner after the run was over about the certificates for something, and he was like, "Oh, you should really come check it out. This, that, and the other thing." So I've thought about it all summer, and then this weekend was kind of a bear theme weekend, and they were doing the foam party. And it was kind of on the back of my mind about whether or not to go. And then Rich and Vince and I sort of had a late lunch yesterday at a local restaurant. And we were talking, and I said to two of them, because they weren't working or off or whatever. And I said, "Have you guys thought about going to the phone party?" And they're like, "Meh, we don't really know, blah, blah, blah." And then Vince was like, "Well, I have to work tomorrow, so I doubt I'll be able to go." Because even though he's supposed to be off, he picked up, I think, an extra shift to work the big thing called Celebrate Erie. So he knew that he was going to start work in about an hour from now. So he was like, "Yeah, that's probably not going to work." So anyways, I had, so we, talked, and then we said our goodbyes. I went home, saw my neighbor. I had an issue with my car this past week, which I'll talk about some other day. And so we were chatting, and we don't really see each other that much, and we also don't talk very much. So we actually had the longest conversation in 5 years ever. So anybody that knows me, there's a problem with me being outdoors, either in a driveway or a parking lot, because I never shut up. So, it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's why we're laughing.
I've been there.
Yeah. So anyways, we talked for at least a good hour or more. And then I went in the house, and I saw that Rich had sent me a message and was like, "Hey, if you're still planning on going to the phone party, I'd like to tag along." So I replied back. I was like, "Hey, just got your message. Just got in the house. Sure. I just need to do a quick shower, change clothes, blah, blah, blah." So then it turns into the madcap, rushing around the house, trying to throw a bag together, all that kind of shit. Get that done. So we left, and we got down there. We didn't really tell anybody we were coming. So everybody was like, what? Like, they were all surprised to see us. So it was nice. I saw a whole lot of people that I already know, but it's just like, it's the bear community. And this particular campground has a special place in my history because it is where I learned kind of the beginning of the bear community back in '99. So, it's first gay campground I ever went to, first gay adult dance that was like at a gay-owned establishment, I guess is the way I should put it. That's not a bar. So yeah, and so we hung out with some people, and of course, people were like, "Hey, have free drinks," blah blah blah, and all that. And then we got to see the foam pit, which was actually inside the dance hall in a corner. And so yeah, there were naked men. There was a bonfire, and we did a 3 a.m. dip in the heated pool. So there was that.
They don't close the pool?
No, it's open 24/7. Well, yeah. I mean, technically, I didn't pay attention. There may be established hours written on something somewhere, but it's not locked. So, I mean, it's open all time. So now it's not normally heated at night. So that was another thing. I'm not really clear on exactly how that worked, about how it was heated last night. But anyways,
maybe they knew things were going to be happening and just.
Well, I think some people had access. Let's just put it that way. So, anyways, hey, you know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm just a nighttime guest. So, but part of it was to network. I wanted to talk to the owners. Kind of help establish some things. But by the time we had arrived, it was not exactly the best timing because like things were really in full swing. And all that kind of stuff, and they were busy. So, but I got a chance to like talk to a whole bunch of people that I haven't seen necessarily. Actually, a number of them I haven't seen since the run.
Wow.
So I got to see the contingency that's kind of the southwest corner of my state, a couple hours to the south of me. So yeah, no, it was good. But so yeah, to help explain a little bit of this, I have not been to bed yet.
Which may explain why you're currently wearing shades.
Yeah. Oh, that's complete sidebar to the audience. You can listen to this, but this isn't really meant for the episode per se. To my co-hosts, last week's episode, we kind of dropped the ball big time because we're in a visual medium and we did a lot of talking about a lot of visual shit. And when the audio show goes out, people listening didn't understand what was going on. So we're going to talk about flogging, and we're going to hold up props, but we're not going to describe the props. We're just going to talk about them. So people are listening to the episode, and I got the feedback yesterday. They were like, yeah, it's kind of hard to understand what the hell like bull hide looks like, or, because it looks like this. Right. So in an audio land, that did not work. So just as like a kind of hint when we talk, we should probably make sure that we're using descriptions about shit that we can see, because if they're not watching the YouTube version and they get the audio, then they're kind of at a loss.
Got it.
I was using descriptions when I was talking about floggers and falls.
Maybe it was
That's how
you.
Anyway, it's okay. Feedback has been received and will be discussed and implemented.
Anyways, so yeah. Anyway, so it was interesting. I've been to. This is kind of funny. I've now been to a couple of foam parties. I've never gone on the foam in any of them. It's just not necessarily something I'm going to be dealing with. This one in particular, the chemical substance they use was very sudsy, like soapy. So a lot of things were very slippery.
Oh God.
So that was disconcerting to me. To my knowledge, there was no medical problems, even though a good number of people did fall.
Oh God.
Well, because this is the thing that really kind of bothers me. If there was anything I wish that I could probably change as a fashion trend, I think I would obliterate flip-flops.
Yes.
Because flip-flops do not work with water or any slippery substance. So I don't understand why they even exist functionally. So, because a bunch of guys were wearing them last night, and they did shit all for helping them trying to walk around. I mean, even some regular kind of sandals weren't very effective either with the substance. But I was just like, really? I was like, this is like the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, why do we have these things out there and invent them? They're just nothing but a hazard and waiting for broken ankles and shit. So, but there was no medical emergencies of any sort or problems that I just know of. It was just, kind of bruised egos and some maybe some black and blue bums or whatever. Which, yeah. And then again, oh, that's right. Let's add in alcohol. So there's
that was one of my issues with last night. So as I mentioned, they had some toilet issues but what the other thing was that they had some water backup. So the area, even in the other bar, they had called Roto-Rooter the night before. Like when me and Jim got there, the Roto-Rooter truck was leaving, so they had just been in there. And there was still like a massive puddle of water between the bar and near the stage area. And they were mopping it up, doing the best they can, but once your mop gets wet, you can't really pick up a whole lot of water. But there was still water, still sitting there. And I'm sitting here going, you've got guys in boots, and you probably have people walking around in, it is a bar and gay bar, and there's other people that'll be there. So you probably have people in flip-flops and sandals and sneakers and what have you. And they're probably not going to get a whole lot of traction. So if someone just is drunk, it is a bar, and running through or whatever, there's a possibility of someone falling. And I saw that happening, and a risk management person to me is going like, no, like we really should like cordon this off and put some signs up or something. I know it's very noticeable. Like it was big, but you still should have like caution, wet floor, or some kind of bullshit so that if something happens, hey, there's a sign right there. You should have paid attention.
Yeah.
You think those signs are meant to warn you? They're more for liability. There's a sign here.
They're warning you so we don't get liability.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically, it's a business covering their ass. I mean, that's what it comes down to, is like, because if you ignore the warning, then right, like it's kind of like restricted, trespassing, danger zone, whatever. Like all that shit applies, and it's like, and if you decide to go beyond where you're supposed to be, then there's nothing you can do about going back against like owner, business, whatever, because they're just like, nope, sorry. It was like, it's kind of like that meme that popped up again. It cracks me up if you've all seen it. It's like a gate at either at a farm, it's either agriculture or maybe equestrian or something, but it has this huge ass red sign with white letters on it, and it's a red metal gate. It's like probably 2 or 3 inch like steel pipe that's been painted, but the sign says Exhibit 1 or Exhibit A. And then it has this whole paragraph, and it's great about legalese, in which it says that this is Exhibit A. Please note that, going beyond here is this, that, and the other thing. And basically what it does is it spells out, and it was like, so I don't think these are the words, but it's like, if you decide to be a dumbass and ignore this, and then you go to a court of law, just remember that Exhibit A is going to be used against you. Like, so they actually named the gate Exhibit A on purpose in preparation to make fun of the fact that, like, it may end up coming up in a court case because you're probably going to be a dumbass and just ignoring this whole thing.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I would like to present Exhibit A. Exhibit A.
Mm-hmm. And now you're going to look at this huge, like, probably 7 foot long by 3.5 to 4 foot high metal gate with a sign on it. It's kind of, it's so big, it's like you can't miss it, and if you do, then you maybe should have your vision checked or something.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, there's that.
And with that, we have this.
Now, whoever thought we'd be doing commercials?
I know I sure as heck didn't.
Being that we're a smaller scale podcast, we don't have advertisers knocking down our door to give us money, and that's okay.
Which is why we want to take a moment and tell you about 2 really great ways you can support Cubs Out Loud.
Over the past 9 years, COL has produced hundreds of audio episodes, and now we have matching video episodes for you to enjoy.
This year, we introduced the new COL logo and launched our new merch store over at Zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud.
Or you can also use the COL merchandise link on our podcast website to pull up the online store.
Here you can take a look through a range of products, including t-shirts, hats, poker chips, underwear, backpacks, and various other things with the COL logo on them.
And keep an eye out for new things to be added based on your interests and requests.
We typically can be found showing these great items off in the video stream of our shows.
Also, to help with our new format, we're doing YouTube video shows that help create the audio version. We have a GoFundMe campaign underway at gofundme.com/COLstream.
This campaign allows us to afford upgrading the PC that Jeff uses to produce our shows. Plus, a better computer means better quality streams.
And thanks in advance for not only listening to Cubs Out Loud, but helping support the podcasts too.
So I'm wearing my one of the kind Cubs Out Loud shirt here. This little bear logo you can actually get on your own shirt because it was the first Cubs Out Loud logo, and we got shirts and mugs and sweatshirts with that one. And I believe we have Damon and Gary have merch too. Damon's got a lovely red shirt.
Showing it off right now.
Well, that's isn't that like the burnt?
This is the dark. I forget what the color is. I think it's cranberry. But it's it was this logo shirt, the dark colored shirts. If you go to the COL Zazzle store, you can find it there.
Cool. So yeah, I've got the hat on, and then I have my original shirt that I got in the beginning, which is the kind of mossy green color or whatever with the logo. So, yep.
I have a flag.
Yay!
You can't get that on the store though.
Yeah, for clarification, Chester's flag is one of a kind, and you cannot buy it at the store. It does not exist there.
We do have some electronics bags. Like if you have a 15-inch or 13-inch or a 10-inch laptop, you can also get those. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there.
Sweet.
I just was popping over with that and the other things. In any case, I think it's time for this. Damon, speaking of YouTube stuff, Damon, what's going on?
Sure. So we have 2 new YouTube subscribers, Seabrook 2012 and Tony Leon. Hi.
Welcome. And Chester, what do we got over in Tumblr land?
I've got 2 new Tumblr followers. Not me, the page. Triad Cub and Chubby Tall. And also we've got a Tumblr comment. I was having a conversation with somebody who wanted clarification about something that we were discussing for flogging. And at the end of it, he said, by the way, I love y'all over at COL. Listen every week. Plus, y'all are hot. Have a great evening.
Aw, thanks.
Thanks, Triad Cub.
All right. So, moving on into our topic. It's a mystery.
What is our topic?
It's a mystery.
Doo-doo-doo.
I think that's pretty much it.
Our topic will be...
Can I actually just go on a rant here?
Sure.
Something came up recently that kind of got me into the overall, an overall thing. And it was about, I'm a contractor at a place, Apple. Everybody knows I'm there right now. And I keep getting advice on how to get to the point of being a permanent position. Some advice. It's great advice for all intents and purposes, but it's problematic for me because one of the big things is that it's about like networking and letting people know you and everything. But me being the shy, introverted cub that I am, I'm like, I'm in this small group. I kind of like it because it's just this small. It's all of us. And I'm great with the people there because I know who they are. But like when I go outside or go to lunch or something, I'm going by myself and just kind of like, taking the time for myself. And I pop on my headphones and I'm walking around, maybe looking at my phone, or reading Facebook, Twitter, doing something, and just listening to podcasts or music. But I'm looking down. And one of the things I was recommended is like, well, people see you in the hall and whenever I talk, one of my coworkers was talking about how great I was. And they're like, well, he seems so unapproachable because he's always got his headphones on and looking down. He doesn't say hi. And I find it really hard, especially when it's not somebody I interact with on a day-to-day basis, to just like, or come up to somebody and say, hi, how are you doing? Or anything like that. Even when I'm passing, it's like, the recommendation was just don't wear your headphones while you're walking around and say hi to everybody. And then I'm trying to do that. Sometimes when I have my headphones on, I'm looking at people, trying to look at people and say hi. And a lot of the times they're talking to somebody else, and maybe I'll just because I don't want to interrupt them or anything. I'll just give a quiet hi or hello, just quietly, and they probably don't even notice I'm doing it. Or the people that they're talking with, or the people I'm walking by or something. It just, there never seems to be that opportunity to do anything. And like I still do some things, like if I have a question for one of the other people, I'll probably even like step over and talk to them. They're more easily approachable because I have a direct reason to be there to do things. Because she's talking about, get to know people in iPhone and an iPad and mobile. And I'm like, I never have a reason to go even talk to these people. And
you have a reason, though. You want to progress through the company. That is your reason to go talk to them.
And say what?
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, but I'm busy doing work. Or if I'm on my break, I'm not going to go over and interrupt their work while I'm on break. In fact, that was a no-no when I was upstairs. I mean,
do they have?
Hold on. Let me continue talking about what I'm talking about. I'm going on a rant here, so hold on while I talk my perspective here. That's one of my problems on doing that. And then as I'm thinking about this, I also kind of equate this to the fact that I am single. There's like probably no possible way that I'm getting a boyfriend because I stay in my house for two reasons. One, because I don't really have enough money to like go to the bar so I can have a few drinks or something, be at a place where there's people. And two, I get freaking bored because I go there, I might have a drink or two, but nobody's talking to me, and I'm one of those people who, and when I'm thinking of why nobody's talking to me, is because I'm just sitting there and I'm not approaching anybody. Why? Because I'm freaking terrified. I might see somebody that's hot that I really am attracted to or something, but I do not have the courage to even go up to somebody because I'm scared of rejection. And even when I do talk with somebody, the conversation dribbles out to like, I'm bored. I don't know why I'm even talking to you because I can't come up with an idea of a conversation. I'm terrible at conversation, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm scared to talk to anybody, because it would be so freaking awkward to go, hi, how are you? Good. Okay. Bye. And I really think that for all you extroverted people, if you see somebody that's at the wall, just kind of sitting there, maybe even looking at their phones, it's probably because they're terrified to go talk to somebody. And I think it would help people come out of the shell if somebody else initiated the conversation, maybe even started getting a focus onto them, finding out what their interest is because a lot of the times us introverted people, once we to come out of the shell, something needs to start and they're terrified to do that. So if you see wallflowers, don't think it's like they don't want to talk to somebody, because they may actually do. It's just you need to talk to them, and heck, after a while, after you get to know somebody, you don't have that problem, that fear of like seeing somebody at a bar and going up and talking to them and actually having a good conversation, or even, hooking up or something. So, and a rant. That's my rant about us scared, shy, introverted bears and cubs. I'm done.
So I'll begin because I deal, I guess I consider myself more ambivert. Ambivert, is that the actual word now? Like someone who is an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert. Yeah, ambivert. Anyway, I consider myself ambivert because in certain situations, shine, like diamond, like I'm awesome. Like, but in other situations, I'm very much like work, I'm pretty much like you, Jeff. When I'm at work, I get my job done and that's it. Like, I don't really network. I don't really go out with people. I don't do that. And the main reason I don't do that is because to me, it's work. Like, and I think people have that same mentality. It's like, I'm at work. I need to get my work done. Like, I don't really need social interaction. But on the flip of that, though, I feel I sometimes feel I'm missing out on things because I don't interact with a lot of people. It bothers me every once in a while. On the other side of that, when I'm out at like bear events or bear runs or the leather events last night, I made a point to try to engage and interact with people, especially people I knew are somewhat new, either through Facebook or online or what have you, and took the time to talk to her. Miss Tammy was there this weekend, which was kind of cool. She has something for you, Gary. She has something for you. Anyway, but it was interesting because one of the Kink U classes, one of the things that was brought up was it was a community, talking about the community and what to do to engage people. And part of that conversation was if what do you do when you see that shy leather boy or that shy boy in the corner who is looking at that hot daddy leather bear or leather daddy who they clearly want to do something with? What do you do for that person? Because you've noticed it, so what do you do? And the obvious answer was, oh, you try to engage them, or try to introduce or do something to that effect. And I think I agree with you, Jeff, that sometimes it takes the extrovert to talk to the introvert as opposed to the introvert trying to engage conversation with the extrovert. Mm-hmm. Because the introvert never will. And if the extrovert doesn't do anything, then the introvert stays an introvert. So it is a very interesting concept. The flip of that.
Us introverts need wingmen.
Yeah, I could see that.
We need somebody to help make that connection, who's not afraid of that. Because I think somebody mentioned that I fix these problems with alcohol. That's actually true. I've had actually when I was a younger pup, because I was along the lines when before the whole puppy play thing really got popular. I consider myself a puppy because I was more like the cub version of an otter, because otter pup. So, and I was kind of playful, but when I had a few drinks with me, yeah, I'd be walking around the bar and I was hello. And I made out with some random guy one time. So, yeah, but as I get older, my alcohol tolerance goes up. I don't know. I really think what really helps is having a wingman, and if you don't have somebody to go as a wingman to kind of help out, because once you get into an engaged conversation, shell broken. Totally, it's that kind of that initial part of getting to the point of introduction, starting to talk, finding something of interest, and actually being able to have a full conversation. But anyways, sorry.
But no. It's really very, to me, that makes sense. But the other aspect of it is the introvert now engaged needs to stay engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I've done the introduction as the, whatever, wingman, what have you. Now that here they are, okay, you now need to start opening up and start talking to the other person. Because one thing that usually knocks me out of any conversation is when the conversation is reciprocal. Like, if I'm talking to you and you like, okay, sure, right, that's cool. Like, if you don't really engage or ask questions or something, it doesn't really give me much to latch onto to then continue the conversation. And at some point, it's going to die. And nothing's going to happen, and then we're going to go our separate ways, and you're back where you started.
Being an introvert and trying to find a partner if you're even interested in looking sucks major donkey.
But yeah, it's something. You need something. like that would be the thing. There needs to be. I get that sometimes you have to find that mutual, like, point of interest or multiple points of interest.
Which makes me think that most of the people that I'm interested in don't really go to the bars. Or they're partnered. Because we want to play video games. We don't want to go to the bars. If we want alcohol, we'll just bring some home in while we play some StarCraft or something.
Okay, so
Overwatch.
Why not just do that?
I don't know anybody who wants to come over.
Go on to Craigslist. Put an ad on there and says, I'm looking for people. What is so wrong with that? Go on there, put an ad out there saying, hey, I am looking for people to play Warcraft with. Come to my house, I'll go to your house, or whatever the case may be.
And I know it may sound...
LAN party!
Yeah, I mean...
Go to a LAN party.
It sounds stupid, but honestly, that was what Craigslist was originally intended to be for. Like, people actually were meant to, like, hey, I actually want people to hang out with, not bump uglies with. It was a forum potentially to, like, I need something or I have something, let's do something.
Right now,
if you're not much of a bar goer, find things that you can do that are not bar related, like gaming parties. Find a local group of gamers. Ask to come to one of their parties. And then, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of nerdy guys here. You're already in a comfortable zone.
Probably still need to wait. But still.
Well,
I get what you're saying, and it's kind of true. It's the conundrum of the introvert, because a lot of the things that, especially the more social extroverted people, like try to help an introvert, it's like, yes, that's exactly what we should do. And actually, an introvert will agree with you full-heartedly. It's just they have trouble doing it. So, anyway, that's my rant. Anybody else have any mystery topics they want to come up with?
Well, it's not so much a mystery topic, but it's an interesting tie into what you're talking about, Jeff. I met a gentleman last night at the campground who actually came to my event last year, and we had a conversation about, because I asked him what his experience was like, and from the get-go, my impression was he liked it, but he didn't want to talk to me directly. Even though he had the floor, so to speak, like he had the prime opportunity to basically give his criticisms.
Uh-huh.
And he did kind of. I mean, we discussed it a bit, but it was very interesting because, so this is a thing that's been going on for some time now, and I think it exists probably at most events. It's not exclusive to the bear community, and it sure as hell isn't exclusive to just, runs. So when people know each other, it's a natural, collective experience to come together to hang out. Whether you see each other frequently or infrequently, like maybe once a year. So you go and you hang out and you do this thing and you're kind of like your group. And what happens is you unintentionally create clique or a bubble.
Uh-huh.
And people who are not a part of that, especially, I'm going to say virgins in this case, first-time attendees or, have never been there, and don't know people, they find that challenging to interact with, especially if they are an introvert or an introverted extrovert. That they're not the type of person to inject themselves or, kind of engage in that kind of stuff. So they stay solo or siloed, they're kind of on the outside of stuff. So it was just a really interesting conversation about how, what I think it comes down to is, everyone is responsible for their own actions, but there comes a point when we now live in a day and age that we're too
Connected?
we're too oblivious to how we're treating others,
Right.
because we can't see it because we're not outside ourselves.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like, I've said this for decades now. When MTV's Real World was on, I was fascinated when it first launched by this concept of a camera crew that just followed the people around, the cast. And we got to watch their lives, so to speak. And, this is the beginning of reality television, quote unquote, all those years ago, before it became what it is today, through its manifestations or evolution. But the interesting thing to me about that concept was I thought, God, if I was independently wealthy, it's probably the one thing I would do, is I would document my life, because others can learn from it, and more importantly, I could learn from my own life, because then I could see what everybody else fucking sees. Because I don't get it until somebody gives me the feedback and talks to me and says something like, hey, remember when this thing kind of happened or whatever, and this was your reaction? No offense, you're kind of a dick about that. But nobody says that. Nobody just kind of lays the shit out and tells you, not cool, or that was really awesome, or I think we live in this weird age or time where everyone's kind of more going on the pussyfooting side, to use a phrase, as opposed to being direct or whatever. I have an online friend, and I don't know if he listens to the podcast necessarily, but if he does, I'll give his first name. Some people may know him. His name's Gage. He's from Texas. He was in Pittsburgh for a couple of years. He was active with the Bear Club, and then he moved back with his partners. And I've never forgotten Gage's personality, because he has always been one that has consistently been more on the black and white of stuff. And that is to say, it's a yes or a no. It's a right or a wrong. It's a no. There's you have two options. None of this me. He's like, no, you just So when things would come up and I would kind of be wishy-washy, he would call it out. He would be like, I don't know why you're having a problem with this. You don't like the person? Tell them. He was just very matter of fact about it. And it was kind of jarring at first, and then it became refreshing, because you're just like, wow, you really live your life this way. And he does. That's just I think part of the culture in which he was raised with his family and that, and so he addresses things that way. But he's as much as I love him, I feel like he's an anomaly within society, at least here in America, because I don't know that many people that just abruptly, and not rudely, but they just very matter of fact. They just say it, state it as it is. I think way too much people don't say anything. And it could be because they don't want to hurt someone's feelings, they don't want to interact. I mean, there's a whole gambit of things. And my point of bringing all this up is, I don't know what the solution is to make people aware of their own behaviors and how it impacts others, because something that you do has ripple effects on everything else. Well, technically everything we do has a ripple effect on everything else. But when you're in a group and you're talking to folks, like, if you're kind of in your bubble and you're not paying attention, then the people that try to approach you may never feel like they can actually approach you or be accepted or whatever, because you're, got these binoculars on or whatever, and you're kind of not paying attention to things. And what I've realized is a lot of the people that are in my life, they weren't people that came into it soft-footed, or they just kind of crept in. They came into my life because of being attached to someone else. Everything was like a juncture. So, for instance, Drew, who's in the chat, I met Drew because of William. You know what I mean? And so it's you kind of get these things that come together at different ways. And I mean, look at this. I mean, I'm on this podcast because of you, Damon, and I met you because of William. I'm just now realizing everything's becoming he's the reason. But anyway, that's not what I mean.
He's your linchpin. He's your linchpin.
Well, he's kind of. I mean, I made a joke last night several times to people explaining, when the first time I went to the campground back in '99, Tom Lamming, who I had known from college, was there. Long story short, we ran into each other. I didn't know about bear clubs and stuff. I just happened to go to the campground after a potluck at someone's guest house or at their home. We went there because there was a dance. And long story short, I had gotten there late. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere, and I had no clue how the hell to drive to get out of there in the middle of the night, so I just slept in my car. And the next morning, lo and behold, I ran into him, and then he's like, we should check out this thing about this club called the Berg Bears and stuff. So the running joke between the two of us for, 28 years now, or whatever, has been, he's to blame. That would be 99, so not quite 20 years. It's been 18 years. Or something. So yeah, it's this running joke. If there's anybody that wants to know how the fuck did all this start, go talk to him.
Nice.
Because he basically pointed me toward learning about a bear club, which then led to, all these dominoes falling. So the thing is that though, it just really kind of it made me aware of how you never know what's going to happen unless you attempt. And that happened to me last night. So I'm standing at the bonfire, I'm talking to a guy. He's not necessarily my typical, catches my eye, really wants to, makes me want to engage. We had briefly met inside at the bar, and he turns around, and he was actually someone else was there, and they were being amorous with him or whatever. And so he just kind of chats me. He's like, "You look so familiar, though." He's like, "I don't know where I know you from." Mind you, I am wearing my other COL shirt, the white one. So I'm repping the podcast while I'm at this place. So all I keep thinking is, would you, and he said it was a cute shirt. I didn't do that. I wasn't Vanna Whiting it. But he did look at it at one point and he was like, "Oh, it's a cute shirt," or whatever. But it's I thought, well, then he must not know what the hell the podcast is, because he didn't put those two dots together. And he's never been to the event. So I don't know. So I don't know, maybe he was doing a pickup line. So fast forward, we're out next to the bonfire. He starts chatting with me or whatever. It's a gay campground. It's clothing optional. He's buck-ass naked. And so we're kind of chatting. So, and I kind of take a step closer to him, put my hand on his shoulder, and we kind of engage in a personal conversation, which led to, yeah. So.
Wait, no. You can't just go over the yeah. What was that?
No, I can. That's how that is. It's called my life, and I can describe it how I want. Hence, callback, it's a mystery. So, the thing.
Nice.
Had I not taken the time to try to talk to him and have an engaging conversation, because there was a part of me that was like, well, he seems really nice in that. Who knows where this might go? In a former time in my life, I wouldn't have I would have like been very much on the surface of a conversation. It wouldn't have been small talk, but it wouldn't have been like engaging. And I wouldn't have like tried to look him in the eyes and have a moment with him and have a conversation. And he, at one point, he realized we've been talking for like, I don't know, 7 minutes or something. He's like, I'm really sorry. I'm monopolizing your time. And I was like, no, you're fine. And I think it's when I put my hand on his shoulder to let him know, like, it's okay. Like, we can have this moment, just the two of us talking while the world goes on around us. It's perfectly fine. Like, you're not robbing me of an experience or keeping me from anything. I mean, I'm not telling him this, but that's my idea of what's going on in my mind. But that's because I made the decision to do that, because I could tell that he kind of wanted to hang out or to chat or whatever. So, yeah, I think that going back to what you were talking about, Jeff, it is not easy, and it does take a lot of energy and effort to take a first step or several steps to put yourself out there and to do things. But what you don't know until you do it is what's going to happen. So I thought about this a little bit last night and this morning, is that saying, what is it? It's like nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't take the time to try to attempt something, then you won't know. I mean, think of it in these terms. When you're playing a game, video game or whatever, right. Especially, when you're in a land you don't know anything about and you're trying to figure things out, like you do tons of stuff to figure out where's the secret passage, how do I get the thing, like where do I go, like how do I beat the big boss or whatever. You keep trying and attempting things. Life is no different. You just have to make the effort, and in a way it's that leap of faith stuff. You just kind of have to push beyond whatever that hesitance is, that kind of other thing, because you're not going to know what the piece of that is. I'm going to speak a little bit out of turn, and I hope I'm going to apologize in front, Chester, because I don't think this is like meant to be a thing. But Chester and I, talk outside of the podcast, and where you are today in Columbus is not probably where you expected to be at the beginning of this year.
Mentally?
No, I meant physically. Like, you're actually in Columbus. You're no longer in North Dakota.
I don't know.
So I'll just keep going with what I'm talking about. So here's the thing is, I'm not trying to dismiss Chester, but my thought on this was, you didn't know where 2017 was going to go. And I don't think you started on January 1st and said to yourself, you know what? I think I'm going to move across the country. Like, and you also didn't think, I'm going to not only leave the place that I've been living for a number of years, I'm going to move to a city in a state that I haven't been to, with a boyfriend I don't know, and a job I haven't even thought about yet. But all of that happened because you decided to make that decision. So that's my point, is like, you just don't know what's going to happen until you try.
Yeah.
And I realize that comes off probably, a lot of people could very critically say, oh, it's so easy for you to say. And it's kind of like, well, it is. Because that's my experience and where I come from. So I guess what I want people to know is, think about and make the attempt when you can on all the fronts, including not just like engaging with people that you're interested in, or you may have, a moment with, that you may stress release / exchange DNA. There's
at a foam party.
Yeah, there's other things that can happen. You could make a lifelong friend. You can end up making a best friend, or a lifelong annoyance. I don't know. There's different things that can happen, and I think it's good that people kind of try that. And to go back to my point about with the run discussion, it is not completely on the person who is new, and it sure as hell also isn't completely on the people that are already going. And I don't think it's 50-50. I don't know what the balance is, but the reality is, I think all of us are individually responsible for our own actions. And it's hopefully, my point is, just try to be aware, try to look around, see what's happening. To go back to what you were kind of being told, Jeff, it's easy to be engaged in the device, and kind of like whatever. It's hard to like pull away from it. It's interesting because people talk about, well, everyone's on their device and this and that. Well, studies have been talking about the fact, like, this is a drug. It is now known that the notification little thing and all the stuff that goes off kicks off your serotonin. It's basically crack.
to your brain on a chemical level, you're just kind of like, ooh, I got another thing. I got another thing. I have to see what's going on because this is engaging me and this makes me feel valued. This makes me feel like I have a presence in the world and that I matter because this is talking to me. And this is telling me that something's happening somewhere. And it may be, people that I'm engaged in or I care about. And I'm not critiquing and saying that's a problem, but I think it's an interesting situation where technology is potentially manipulating us. And if you're not aware of that, then that's
I will say, to wrap this section up because we need to move on, is I have done things like I may be listening to music, but my phone is in my pocket and I'm looking up and seeing what's around me. So I'm doing something. That's the end of the conversation because we really need to move on. I'll tumble for you. I'll tumble for you. I'll tumble for you. I'll tumble. So I got a nice fur ball. He's got a nice beard. He's got a nice coif.
Oh, give me a second and I'll tell you his name. I want to say his name's Jake.
He's cute.
He's gorgeous.
Because if it, I'm pretty sure that is a stolen picture.
Mm-hmm. Always the case.
Yeah, the source isn't correct, I don't think.
Yeah, Cubdar. Via Bear Chaser.
Yeah,
it's stolen.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But oh well.
But
he's a cute guy, and it's a good picture.
I did it because I liked it. I think the original poster was like. Yeah, and he posted this.
So, yeah. So mine is actually a little video from, I believe, Billy Bear after gym release. And it's a sexy daddy-ish bear after the gym getting some much-needed relief. So yeah, it's short-ish. So if you want to just look at it and fap while he faps, bam. Chester.
So my pick is to Fox Bear, who we've had on here several times.
Just last week.
Yeah, just last week. He it looks like he's at work, but he has picked up a little groundhog or hedgehog, or I want to say it's a hedgehog.
It's a hedgehog.
And it's a squeaky toy.
Oh,
and he said, this is to all my puppies who are feeling a bit down, and then he gets on camera and he starts squeaking it.
As you might have heard.
And it's just really cute.
It's adorable. Very cute.
And so is the hedgehog.
Hold on.
Gary? Wait.
What are we waiting for?
Nothing.
No. I think it's something else. You can continue.
Well, Jeff, you said hold on. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to link this into chat, but I forgot to do the last two.
Whoa.
So now you're playing catch up. Yeah. So I called this one Phallus erectus because it technically doesn't have a name, and I believe it's a stolen image, but I can't not put it out into the world because it's fucking gorgeous. It's a black and white photo of I don't know. Okay, so it's an erect penis, but it's like a help me, Chester. Is this a macro style photograph?
Yes.
So it's.
I would say that's macro.
Yeah, it's zoomed in
very much, and so you can't even see like all of the penis. It's like from a certain point up to the tip of the shaft. And I believe this person is not circumcised. But it has all these like droplets. Could be water, probably, not sure. But it's just, I think it's fucking amazing. Like compositionally, I think it's gorgeous. I just wish I knew who the photographer was that took this, because I don't think it's the original, and it might have been part of a series or a set or something. But like this type of stuff, if this was a print, I would buy it. I would put it up in like my bedroom of my house, like just to have, because I think it's really amazing. So
I wonder if this was pierced. Because it looks like on the right side of it, there's like a little thing which almost looks like it's maybe a hole for a piercing.
I see what you mean.
I mean,
yeah.
I could be completely and utterly wrong, and that's just a thing. But
yeah, the underside of the head where it connects to the shaft. Yeah, I agree with you. It looks like there's
either there is or there was.
Right.
All right.
So, anyways, but that one I just recently came across, no pun intended, and I was like, wow, it's amazing. I gotta rewatch.
Going into the links with that, I'm linking actually to a video, but it's a trailer for StarCraft Remastered, the original StarCraft series, both original game and its expansion Brood War, has been remastered for HD. So it looks a lot prettier now, and can work. It's right there on my BattleNet launcher. It's $15 if you want the original version, not HD, which still is playable on modern day computers. You can actually get that for free, but if you want it to look all nice and shiny, the remastered is worth that $15. And if you play World of Warcraft, you can use WoW Gold to get Blizzard bucks and just essentially get it for free, like I did. Because one WoW token can be converted to $50 Blizzard bucks. Although they don't call it Blizzard bucks, just Blizzard account credit. So, I know. And I actually was just playing some of that earlier this week after it came out. Watched a couple of watched a launch event. So that's my link. Gary?
So I think, I put this on my Facebook, but this is more for the broader audience of geekiness. Every once in a while, we kind of talk about this. Jeff, I think you're more of a frequent viewer than I am of the Geek and Sundry YouTube series called Tabletop, where they play games, and Will Wheaton is the host of it, and he brings together various individuals. Felicia Day is a common individual that comes and plays, but this one is Jessica Chobot, Jamie King, and Jesse Cox. By the way, Jesse Cox is fucking gorgeous.
Freaking-lutely.
He has this beautiful red beard. He's a big boy. He seems to have a really nice personality. I don't know if he's interested in men or not. I'm sure there's lots of men interested in him. So, but the reason why I had to put this video in there is because I thought it was fucking hysterical, because it's Tabletop. Will Wheaton plays Star Trek 5-Year Mission.
Nice.
So it's a tabletop game, uses cards and die, and interestingly, you can either play as the original series or Next Generation. It has both like main characters of the crew into it, and basically you get to pick which series, and then you pick your character, and all these characters, each character has its own special thing, and so it's very interesting watching them play the game in that. But it's kind of comical because it's Will Wheaton, and he was in Next Gen, so they actually play the original series because he thought it was too fucked up in his head meta to like play the Next Gen version. But so if you're into that kind of stuff and watching it, it was.
Well, hello, Jesse.
Oh, Chester found out who Jesse is.
Oh,
yeah,
I think I see who Jesse is.
Have my babies.
Wow.
Yep, I knew that was coming. I was just about to say, we know what Chester's going to fap to later.
I want to take this video and just cut out all the rest of it and just watch a video of him.
He's got a lot of videos on the internet, so not anything where he's not clothed, but he's got a lot of videos on the internet. I think he actually has his own YouTube channel too. So
that being said, Jesse Cox, meet your newest online stalker, Chester Biltowski.
Right.
Nice.
But on a side note, if you also look up the Star Trek Catan, it has Will Wheaton and Jerry Ryan.
Yes.
79? And it was one of the best episodes because in the middle of it, Jerry and Will do a demonstration of the Star Trek bump.
Oh, God.
You know, whenever everybody's shaking on the thing,
Yes.
on the bridge, there's a method to that apparently. So, and it's just a great little scene because they're like bump, bump, shimmy. It's
All right.
It's great. So I recommend that. But look that up. I'm not linking that. In any case, guess what, folks? It's the end of the show. Aw. But anyways, contact us. Pop over to our website, comesoutlad.com. Shoot us an email at comesoutlad@gmail.com. And leave us a voicemail at 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. Follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube at Comes Out Loud in the appropriate place. So if you ever have any questions about something that you think was visual and you're listening to the audio show, feel free to pop over to approximately the same location in the
We'll provide pictures.
video, and you'll be able to see it later. So it'll always be there. Join the COL Entourage group on Facebook or the Cubs Out Loud Entourage group on bearunderground.net, the official Bear website at Cubs Out Loud. If you listen to us on iTunes, rate us there. You can subscribe to us through Google Play Podcasts. Give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio. You can find me anywhere on the internet as Boxset, Box Puppy, Box Cub, Box, something or other. David.
I am Theater Cub 79 on Bear Underground, Growler, Tumblr, HeftyNet, what have you. Or you can find me as pup_umbra on Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter or Tumblr under the name The Pup Up There, eating street meat from a food truck or various bear dating sites across the net under the name Pup Shutter or Cupcake76.
We are street meat, saucy.
Oh my god, I just watched that last night.
If you would like to get in touch with me, in the digital way as opposed to in real life, you can find me typically as GareBear73. That's GARBEAR73. If you're interested in the Tumblr stuff and you want the naughty, like things like I talked about today, it's GareBear73XXX is the Tumblr account. And for those of you that have been wondering about like where the pictures of me are in existence, you're just gonna have to go sleuthing for that shit because it's rare opportunity.
Rare on my Tumblr too.
And with that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good one, y'all.
Sorry to cut you off, Damien, but hey, look at the time.
You have a whole minute. Whole minute early.
Yeah. Trying to do things not on gay time. Just saying.
And
Anyway,
Gary,
bye.
you can go to-
Bye.
Bye. And Gary, you can go to bed. Woo. can't hear you.
I said, yeah, there's that. I put myself on mute when the outro was playing, so.
Ah. Yay.
All right.